Hello and welcome! So I wanted to try my hands on a jumpsuit pattern for quite a while now. But I don't know about you, but I am not so keen on getting completely naked in a public bathroom. So I thought, how can I make a jumpsuit bathroom friendly? And I came up with this. Let me step back so you can see it. The jumpsuit comes with a little belt thing. And if you open this, you see the back part of the pants just open. So you can pull it down, do your business, and then simply close it up again, and then you're ready to go with your jumpsuit. So I'm excited to show you how I made these, and the pattern is available on my website for free, and I will show you how you can get it right now. You can either follow the link below the video, or you go to dressdeveloper.com, patterns, and here we have a jumpsuit Hawthorn, create pattern. So, and here you can choose between different versions. You can go for the colored shirt or the plain shirt, the straight leg or the flared leg. I want to sew the version with a colored shirt and the flared leg. Now you need to select your size, or you can upload your measure set with your very own measurements. Then you can select the length of your pants. So full length, 7/8 length, 3/4 length, knee length or shorts. I choose the knee length. And the same goes for the sleeve length, full length, 3/4 length and short. So shorts for me this time. Just a little hint, when you select the colored shirt version and go for the long sleeve, then you also get cuffs and a little placket, so you can really create a nice fitted shirt, business shirt look. So, fit category, this setting determines the amount of ease in your garment. So you see here this little table which tells you how much ease goes with which setting, and here on the right you can choose your setting. Then seam allowance and paper format is fine for now. Then you can create the pattern. Let me show you the second link first. Here we have a cover with your measurements and all the settings and an overview over your pattern pieces. And here's also a printing preview, so you know how you need to assemble your pieces. And the first link is the pattern itself, all ready for printing. So we do have a lot of pieces, and I will be breaking this down into the blouse and the pants. So I'm focusing on the blouse first, so the pants can go to the side. And I will begin with a little bit of prep work. So since I have the color here, a word or two about the interfacing. This fabric is already quite stiff, so I decided against interfacing it. I feared that this would be too stiff. But when you're working with a lighter fabric, I would strongly recommend that you interface at least one of a color piece, the facing pieces, and one of the belt pieces. So you have a little bit more structure there. So since I'm not doing this, I can simply put the two color pieces right sides together. And then I will sew not all around, but here the short edges, the long top edge, and then down on the other side. So the bottom stays open. Just two more clips. So I will do this. I will also join the neckline facings. This is the back. These are the two fronts. And I'm simply putting these together at the shoulder seam. Like this. And then I am going to sew the darts. So I have marked the points of the darts here with pins. And on the outside I have clipped the notches. So I'm simply going to put the notches together. And then I shift the pin so it holds everything together. And now I can sew here from the outside, from the notch to the pin. Then I will keep stitching for a couple of stitches and then tie a knot. And it's the same for the waist dart, this little thing here. Join up the notches. And where's the pin? Here is the pin. Just shift it a bit. So I will sew from here, from a notch to the pin. So I think this is all for this first step. And when I have done this, I will check in with you again. Okay, one more thing I will do in this stage. This is the back blouse piece, and I don't know if it's noticeable, but the waist here in the back has a bit of extra ease. So you can hopefully just pull it over your head without any closure needed. And I want to hold this in a little bit here down at the waist. So I am going, this is a bit experimental, I am going to put on some elastic here. So just shy above the seam allowance, which is 1.5 centimeters for me. Like here, I will just add a little bit for a little bit of scrunching up here, just all the way down on the left side of the fabric. You do have the stitches on the outside, but not the elastic. The elastic is on the inside. You can kind of see that it's quite curved here on the bottom. So this I will do too in this first step. Okay, I'm using a 3-step zigzag stitch here, and I'm slightly pulling on the elastic, not on the fabric, so I will create hopefully some bunching up here, only a little bit. I will now take the color piece and cut back the seam allowance. especially here in the corners. Be careful, you don't want to cut your stitching. And now I turn this thing inside out. Just make sure the edges are as sharp as possible. The fabric is a bit thick to create a really sharp edge, but I'll do my best. So, and then I will take this over to my ironing board and give it a good press. So it's ready for the next step. So we will press this flat. And I will also press open the seam allowance here at the facing. Although I think it's enough if I do it with my hands. But better to press it. Better to press it with the iron. And I think I can also do the shoulders here. So I need to clean this up. And then I need to run the shoulder edges here on the 3 blouse pieces through my serger, just to finish the shoulder. And then I will do the same with the as with the facing. So I will join these here at the shoulders together, right sides to right sides, and then press this open too. So yeah, we'll do this, and after that we can install the color and the facing pieces. But first a little run at the serger here, and then I will sew these together and press them open. Alright, now I can install the color. So where is it? Here. So the color has some notches down here and on the other side, and these notches gets lined up with a shoulder seam. So there's one. Other, and the rest just gets pinned on. And here in the front we have a notch here in the neckline, and I line up the edge of a color. Other side too. And now we will make a little sandwich. So I have pinned the collar to the right side of the fabric, and now I need my neckline facing, and that will get installed on top. And the right side of the neckline facing faces down, so that the collar basically faces the right side of the fabric on both sides. So and then down the front. Fold the point of the collar out of the way, because I don't want to catch it while sewing. Here's still the other side. So like this. And I will now take this to a sewing machine and sew all around. And then we will see us back. I will now cut back the seam allowance. Careful. Again, I double clip the corners to reduce the bulk. Second corner. And now I will do my best to understitch the facing. What means understitching? Understitching means that you sew the seam allowance, in this case here from the neckline, to the facing. Forgot I need to clip the curve. Careful not to clip into your seam. But these clips helps the seam allowance to stretch a bit, so I can move around the curve. All right, now to the understitching. So, I can't understitch in the edge itself, but I can understitch here the straight lines. So I will fold the seam allowance up and then stitch it to the facing. And I can do a similar thing here around the neckline. And this step really helps the facing to fold to the inside nicely, so it don't show here on the outline. So it's not that bad here when the collar is in place, but here on the front where the buttons will sit, it's a really nice touch-up, so don't skip this. Now I have pressed the facing to the inside, and I'm now going to do a couple of hand stitches to keep it down. So I'm just trying to catch a single thread or maybe two from the outer fabric, so the stitches doesn't show up on the outside. Just to keep the facing as nicely folded to the inside as it is now. Don't sew your finger to your fabric. What I need now are buttons. So I'm taking here my template, my pattern piece, and a little bit of chalk. And I will now mark where the buttons should go. And then I will go to a sewing machine and have the buttonholes stitched up, and then I will add the buttons by hand. So I have sewn my buttonholes and I've opened them with my little embroidery scissors. And I now line these up with the bottom part. I'm going to mark where the buttons should go. So this. I left the top button off because I will probably never close it. I want to wear this open. So, damn it, I forgot one. Yeah. So, more like this. Okay. So I have here my buttons. 2, 4, 5 buttons. And my thread, and I will then just put these on. I will double my thread to make it a bit faster. So a thread, the needle. Now I have my doubled thread. And first I will anchor my thread. So, now comes the button. So, and I'm not pulling too tight here because I want to create a little thread stem. Because you see, the fabric of the bottom half will need to go somewhere, so the button cannot sit directly against the fabric, and I have some issues here. Damn it. They are tangling a bit. What's going on? Okay, now I solved the problem. So and one stitch more. Now I'm not going through the fabric, but I'm going around, creating this little thread stem before I knot the thread off to the back. And you have probably seen nothing. Let's repeat this, shall we? So I'm going through from the underside and down again. And now I will just anchoring my thread, knotting it off. Now I go up again. Here is a button. So I'm trying to keep the button a bit loose. So here I need some room for the fabric to go. So I'm not going to pull too tight. And now I will not go through the fabric directly, but wrap the thread around a couple of times. This is actually not pretty. Let me try to resolve this. Okay, that's better. Now I can just wrap the thread around a couple of times, and I have created a little stem here, which holds the place free for the fabric to go. Now I'm just knotting off my thread and go to the next button. In theory. So that was it with hand sewing for this project. Our buttons are in place. And now I want to install the sleeves. So here is our arm side. It's rolling on over through the elastic. So, yes. Here we have the double notch for the back and the single notch for the front. And we do find these on our sleeves as well. So let me see what sleeve I need. I think it's this one, yes. So when I place the right side down, I have the front notch here on the right and the double notch here on the left. So this lines up. There's a notch on the top of the sleeve, and this gets lined up with the shoulder seam. And then the double notch and the single notch. And of course the edges. So, and I like to give this little shake, which does help everything to line up, in my eyes at least. So, and then I need to distribute this evenly. So I find kind of a center, put a pin there or a clip. And if you have a feeling that this does not line up, remember you don't need to line up the actual fabric edge, but the stitching line. And the stitching line lies about here, because I'm working with 1.5 centimeter seam allowance. So you see, it seems to pucker a bit, but usually it should work out fine. If you're having trouble, you can always put in a line of basting stitches and pull a bit on them here in the sleeve to help it ease the fabric down, but we don't want any visible gathers for these. It's a simple plain sleeve. So I will now put this down on the machine with the sleeve. So the sleeve lays on the stitching table, and then I will sew this in place first with my sewing machine, which gives me a little bit more control. And after I'm happy with the result, I am going to serge this edge. If you don't have a serger, you can always work with a zigzag stitch. Just cut the seam allowance back here a bit and then zigzag over the edges. While at the serger, I have also serged the sides and the bottoms. So I can now finish the construction by lining up the side seams. So here's the underarm seam. And I will simply sew this together with a sewing machine, a simple straight stitch. And then all that is left for the blouse, let me quickly snip these threads before I forgot about them. So, what was I saying? Yes. All what's then left to finish the blouse is to hem the sleeves, and I will create a simple double turned hem, folding under the seam allowance and then an additional 2 centimeters, and stitch it down with a straight stitch. And then the blouse will be finished. And we can move on to the pants part. Let's move on to the pants. So first step, well, I have actually already serged here the crotch and the the outer seams. But now I want to install the pockets. So I'm taking my pattern piece here, and the pocket placement is marked here. And you see I have cut a little window. I will place this here. And I have prepped the pocket pieces by folding under the top 2 centimeters and the seam allowance and basically creating a double turned hem. And then I have pressed the seam allowance of the other 3 edges under. So I can now simply place this inside this window and pin it in place. And then I will simply top stitch the pocket in place. So this was one side, I will do the other side, and then I will simply top stitch the pocket. Of course the top stays open, so we can actually put things there. Now pockets are in place, and I can sew the crotch seam. So first on the front pieces, and then the same for the back pieces. Okay. So simple straight stitch on the sewing machine, and I will sew here along the crotch. So now this is the back of our pants, and I will now add the front wrap to it. So these are the 2 wrap pieces, and I will line them up here at the side. Now the front has a little bit of curve, the back does not really have it, but they should line up nonetheless. And they do. So that's one side. And here the other side. Let me flip this so you can hopefully see it a bit better. So right side to right side. So, and I will now sew these together with a simple straight stitch. Here is the other side, so here and here. So I have finished the front edge by simply turning the fabric under twice and top stitching it in place. So this will be our front of our wrap pants. So now we can install the waistband. So you need 2 waistband pieces, and I have here the center of one, and I will place this here at the center back of my pants, and then I will simply line these up all around. Now the waistband will reach exactly around your waist, and when you install the closure you should have enough of the waistband fabric to comfortably install these. So I will now sew these in place. So I will make a couple of snips in the curved parts of the seam, but I don't think I will cut back the seam allowance. That doesn't make sense with the next construction step, but I think snipping is a good idea. So the next step is the second waistband piece. So I will simply line this up. I don't think I need to pin it. Maybe the beginning at the end. Where do I have my clips? I left my clips at the sewing machine. Okay, I will pin it. No one wants any last minute surprises. Could probably have done this before I sewed the first waistband on, but I don't think it does really matter. So, and I will sew this all along. Okay, so this seam allowance I will cut back. If you're working with a very large seam allowance, you should probably cut the other one back too, otherwise it would all bunch up and create lots of bulk. And after that I will take this to the ironing board, press the seam allowance open, and then I will press the inside waistband. Where do I put this? So basically I will put the inside waistband, so seam allowance up, this down, and I press the, can you see this? So this is the inside, seam allowance gets pressed up, this gets pressed down, and the inside of the waistband gets folded over it, and the seam allowance gets pressed to the inside. So this way we have the raw edges nicely encased, and this will then be top stitched on both sides. Now our back piece is basically finished at this point. The last thing we will do is to install the buckle, but that's actually the very last step. So let's focus on the front. So we have here the front legs, which I have already sewn in the crotch. So this is the front of the pants part, but I will attach the back wraps here on the sides, and in the middle of the back we will have our little modesty panel. I have already sewn this together here in the center and hemmed it. So this is basically the back, which will sit here basically in your waist, and its function is to prevent the blouse from pulling out under your waistband. So this is what this is for. So we have our two little wrap pieces. So yes, how do I install this? So this is the right side, right? So I need to install this, I think, here onto the right side. And again here, ooh, stay. On the right side here. So this is basically an echo of the back pants. So we have here the side of the leg, and here the modesty panel, which is, as the blouse, a little bit wider, so you have extra ease. And I will put, like in the blouse, an elastic here on the top to keep it a bit in. And here we have simply a little keyhole, a big keyhole, which is where the usability comes in, because this is the interesting part if you want to use the bathroom, right? So this is, let me grab the back piece. This is basically an echo of the back, right? It's hard to explain for me, actually. I will show you when this is finished, and I hope this is more understandable. So, like this, and I will sew here and here, and then I will actually fold this over like this and stitch it down. So just to finish this edge, since this is only the back, I'm not going to bother with a double turned hem, and since I will install the elastic here on the top, I want to reduce the bulk a little bit, so this is just a little bit less bulky and still finished nicely enough for the back, I think. So I have finished the piece here on top. It's nice and stretchy through the elastic. And I can now sew this wrap piece to the front pants. It's still plural, right? So, okay. I'm simply lining up here. Sides. On one side is more curved than the other, that's fine. Should line up nevertheless. Make sure not to twist anything. We want the right side facing the right side. So I will now sew the sides with a simple straight stitch, and then we are almost done. So I will sew here and here. So at this point we have some really big pants. Not a chance to get this all on camera. But nevertheless we need to hem our pants. So I have taken this pile of fabric to my ironing board and pressed in a nice double turned hem on both legs, which are not connected, they are open, which is the whole point of this. So I will take this over to a sewing machine and sew the hem in place with a straight stitch. And then we can connect our blouse and the pants part. So, time for a little marriage. We can join the top and the bottom. And I have here the blouse part turned inside out. Maybe that's actually not the best idea. I think I make it the other way around. So, blouse right side out. And the pants inside out. This is so voluminous that it does make sense if this is the outside. So, all right. So here is the front. So here are the front legs, and here's the modesty panel, just for your orientation. And I will now push the blouse to the inside. And then I will join up the waist seams. So here's the side on the leg and on the blouse. Let's join these up. And the other side not cooperating. So now I need to stretch the back so I can actually pin it. And I will need to stretch it while sewing. But I should line up perfectly. So, and now the front. So here are the buttons. So this should line up. Yeah. Hooray, it fits together. Alright, so I can now take this to a sewing machine and sew all around with a straight stitch. And when we are almost done, then I will try this on and mark the position where the buckle, this little thing here, should go. And then I'm actually done. So here we are, my jumpsuit is done. Thank you for joining me. And I must say I was quite unsure how this would turn out. It was an experiment for sure, but I think it does work. I am happy to wear this, I am happy to use the public bathroom. And I would really like to know how you think about this. Do you like the idea, or do you simply not need it at all? I hope you enjoyed this little video and it was of some help. If you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments and I'm glad to help. I hope I will see you soon in my next video. Bye bye!